Hi, Miss Marion here. Let's go ahead and turn to page 139. Let's read the I can statements for lesson 11. So I can write in equations of lines that have a positive or negative slope, and I can write equations of vertical and horizontal lines. So this is what we're doing today. Write yourself a sentence and give yourself a number. 1, I don't remember. 2, I kind of remember. 3, I remember, but don't ask me to teach it. And 4, I do know it, and I can teach it to my friend. So by the end of today, you'll be able to comprehend that for a graph of vertical or horizontal line, one variable does not vary, while the other can take any value. You can create a multiple representation of linear relationships, including a graph, equation, and table, and you can generalize in writing that a set of points of the form x, y satisfies the equation y equals b, and a set of points of the form a, y satisfies the equation a equals a, or x equals a. This is what you're going to be able to do for today. So, so we'll be able to go ahead and do this for today. Let's go ahead and turn to page 100. Which one doesn't belong? Go ahead and answer that question down on the bottom. Graph blank doesn't belong because blank. Go ahead and write it down. So pause for a second and write it down, and then we'll come back together. All right. So honestly, there is no specific answer for this. Personally, I would pick B. Why does this one doesn't belong? Because all the other ones are parallel to each other, and this one is not. But that's me. So I would say graph B doesn't belong because they are not parallel to each other. Alrighty, let's go ahead and turn to page 101. And what we're going to do is plot at least 10 points whose coordinate is -4. What do you notice? Go ahead and pause and do that at this time. All right, so let's kind of think about that. What does that mean? So no matter what number I put in for x, so 1, my y is -4. Okay, what's about 2? Y is -4. Oh, what about -3? Y is -4. What about -4? Y is -4. So we're going to be doing this for 10 different points. Let's go ahead and graph those. So at my 1, I should have -4. At my 2, -4. -3, -4. -4, -4. Okay, let's do 5, -4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4, -4. -5, -4. -2, -4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. -1, -4. What about 0? Oh, 0 is still -4. Okay, what do we notice? Well, I personally notice this makes a line. Okay. All right, number 2. Which equation makes the most sense to represent all of the points of y coordinate -4? So go to pause and answer that question at this time. All right, so let's kind of walk through them. So y equals -4x. Remember, this is my slope, and my y-intercept would be 0, so this is a proportional relationship. So would that work for my equation? Not really. What about x equals -4? Well, it told me that y's were -4, so that wouldn't work either. And what about this x plus y equals 4? Well, that means I have two combinations of different things, and both of them have to add together to equal 4. Well, that doesn't work either. So what is my equation? Y equals -4. That means everything. So my slope is not changing, so my slope is actually 0. Remember, we talked about that. We have y equals 0x minus 4, or plus a -4. So my slope's not changing. Nothing's going along with it, so it's y equals -4. Let's look at number 3. Plot at least 10 points whose x-coordinate is +3. What do you notice about them? Go ahead and do that at this moment. So pause and go ahead and plot those. All right, let's go ahead and do it ourselves. So what does that really mean? Does that mean if my y is 1, my x is 3. Let's say that my y is 2, my x is 3. What about my y is 0, my x is 3? What about -1 for my y, not my x? Let's erase that. Come on, it can do it. All right. So let's say I have -1 for my y. My x is 3. Oh, what about -2 for my y? My x is 3. So you kind of see what's going on. So we have 3 and then 1. We have 3 and then 2. We have 3, 0, 3, -1, 3, -2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What about, we have 3, -5, right? 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we did 3, -5, 3, 4. Let's do 3, -3. Well, my y is -4, x is still 3. Grr. What do we notice? We see a line going like this. Okay. Will you go ahead and answer the question number 4? Which equation makes sense to represent all the points where x equals +3? Go ahead and pause right now and answer that question. All right, let's go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and look at, so this one, remember, this is my slope. Is that changing at all? No. So would that be an equation? No. Y equals 3. So it says the x equals 3. So is y equals 3 an answer? Nope. And this last one, again, we have to have an x plus a y equals 3. Does that really work? Nope. So what's our equation? X equals +3. Go ahead and do number 5. Graph the equation x equals -2. And then do number 6. Graph the equation y equals 5. Go ahead and do that right now. Pause and do that. And then come back to us. So my green will be x equals -2. Remember, everything, no matter what I do as y's, my x will always be -2. So here is my x equaling -2. And let's do, well, we'll do yellow. Y equals 5. All right, that means no matter what all my x's will be, my y will always be 5. So no matter what it is, up here, my y's are always 5. All right, so go ahead and correct yourself on there and write down any notes that you need to know. All right, unfortunately, normally in class I would do partner A and partner B, but you're actually by yourself. So we're gonna actually kind of do this. It will take you a little bit of time, I understand that, but we're actually learning some information on here. It says there are many possible rectangles whose perimeter is 50 units. Complete the table whose length L and W is our width of at least 10 such rectangles. So I kind of fill those in. Let's talk about it for a second. Let's say, so remember perimeter. Right, perimeter are 2 lengths plus 2 widths, and all of that is going to equal 50. So let's put 4 in. Let's do this one right here. Let's put 4 in for the length. So what we're going to have, we are going to have, so 2, and then my length is 4. So we are going to be multiplying by 4 plus 2. Oh, let's do correct colors on there. Let's do that in red. 2 widths will equal 50. 2 times 4 is 8, right? So we have 8 plus 2 widths will equal our 50. So let's kind of think about it. Okay, really it's saying 2 widths will equal 42. Okay, let's take 42, and I have to have 2 widths of them. Let's take 42 divided by 2. That will equal 21. So our width is 21. So with the 4, we should have the 21. Okay? So what you need to do is go ahead and figure out all the other ones, and then we'll actually talk about a graph in a second. So pause and do all of those, and then we'll go ahead and fill those in. Alrighty, let's go ahead and go through that. So with the 1, we should have 24. So length of 1, width is 24. Length of 7, width is 18. Length of 12, width is 13. Length of 21, width is 1. length of 19, width is 1. Length of 2, width is 23. Length of 5, width is 20. Length of 14, width is 11. And length of 22, width is 3. So these are all the answers that you should have gotten for this table. All right, once we have filled in the table, so we're still on page 101, we are going to go ahead and it says each rectangle has a vertex that lies on the first quadrant. These vertices lie on a line. Draw in this line and write an equation for it. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to plot all of these points onto this graph. So notice how on the bottom I have my width, and on my y I have my length, okay? So this one is 10 and then 15. We actually didn't do that. Let's do 1. So let's do 24 width, 1 length. So 24 width. So 24 width, length, 1. So that point will actually be right here. Okay? And that's this point here. So go ahead and plot all of those points, and let's see what goes along with that. All right, here is what you should actually have for your plotting all these points in there. And it says to draw a line. So let's draw a line. Right? And then they want us to go ahead and write an equation for it. We need to figure out what is the slope of the line and to describe how it changes. So go ahead, and I would actually start with the slope first. Remember, we're always doing the where y equals our slope, sitting by our x, plus our beginning, our start, our y-intercept. Okay, remember that's how we're writing the equation. Go ahead and pause right now, and then write the equation for number 4. All right, let's go ahead and let's start. I like to start with the slope first. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this point and this point. Doesn't matter which 2 points that we do, no, as long as we have 2 points that are on that line. Remember, we need our vertical, so we can count it. 1, 2, 3 is our vertical. 1, 2, 3 is our horizontal, right? So our slope, let's do it up here. Slope equals our vertical over our horizontal. Vertical is 3, horizontal is 3. So then what is my slope overall for all of this? My slope is 1 over 1, right? So this is our equation, our slope, right? And then eventually we need to go ahead and we need to write our equation. Oh, yeah. So is this line going up the hill or down the hill? This line is going down the hill. So actually, Miss Marion, duh, I need to go ahead and put a negative with this slope because it's going down the hill. That's my slope, right? And so we have, right now, we have y equals negative 1x, and then we need our beginning or starting point and that kind of stuff. Where does this line start? Oh, it starts way up here at 25. So here's our equation, y equals negative 1x plus 25. Just so you know, mathematicians do not like to write zeros or ones, so we can also write it as y equals negative x plus 25, but both of these mean exactly the same thing. Okay? So what does this actually mean? So they asked us about the slope. What does that actually mean? We can actually, if you take away one of your widths, you have to add onto the length. So it's kind of like this vice versa give and take kind of thing, where it kind of takes away, because we're thinking as like if we take away from, and our vertical was length, and our horizontal was our width. I should have been width, not horizontal. Okay, so let's erase that. So it's our length. To take away the length, that means we need to add a width. And if you look at that, as far as the graph itself, that kind of goes along with it. So if we have it where we're kind of going down there, we're taking away a width, but then we're taking away a length, and then we're adding a width to it. That's what this slope actually means. All right, so we'll go ahead and write an equation for our story. This is kind of a story. We're dealing with rectangles, but then we're actually working along with it. So to go ahead and help us out for today, there are two Canvas assignments. One, it's Unit 3, Lesson 11, horizontal and vertical lines. We need to understand what those horizontal and vertical lines look like and how to go ahead and write the equation. So there is a Canvas assignment. And you need to do this one first, and you also need to go ahead and get mastery. So that's 80% or higher before you can go ahead and move on. And what you're doing is you're matching the equation for the horizontal and vertical lines to the correct graph. And so you'll actually get into that and see that. So go ahead and do this first, and then go ahead and come back to us. All right, so for today, our goal was to be able to go ahead and understand vertical and horizontal lines. And so remember the horizontal, that's kind of like the horizon. We have a y is always equal to a number. And that's, so it's kind of backwards of what you think it's going to be. And then remember, vertical lines, it has our x is always going to equal one certain number itself. So sometimes if I have a hard time with this, I like to make a table, kind of like how we were plotting those different points to go ahead and get the information. I like to plot those points and go ahead and do that. Go back to page 139 and write yourself a sentence of, I can write equations of lines that I have with a positive or negative slope, and I can write equations for vertical and horizontal lines. And give yourself a number. So 1, I'm still confused. 2, I kind of got it. 3, I did get it. And then 4, I can teach it to my friend. Go ahead and give your sentence and then also a number. And then we are doing all practice problems. They are in Canvas. Make sure you go ahead and do those and upload those. And have a great day. Thank you.